Hey you, come on, sit down. You're sitting at the grown-ups table. I'm your host, Jesse Pimpinella, and as always, my partner in crime,
John Jacobs.
Thank you very much. I had kind of a smooth jazz style right there. I'm like,
I tried to follow it up too. Hopefully I didn't let you down.
No, you did. You carried it. You carried it, and it was awesome. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. We're excited for today's show. We got an awesome guest. His name is Chris Skaggs. He's a former producer of the Torg Elliot show on QFM 95. But before we start, we need you to do something for us. A little favor, if you may. Share that link. If you share that link, you're spreading joy into the world. And trust me, this world needs more joy. And if you got friends that want to watch the show, but man, they can't watch the show, check out our YouTube at the Grown Ups Table, where not only will you find past episodes, but you'll also find exclusive content that is not airing anywhere. So make sure you check that out. Treat yourself to that. So at the Grown Ups Table, subscribe, hit the bell ding, like it up. Let's have some fun. But for right now, we got to bring our guest out here, everybody. We're going to do a little drum roll, if I may, little drum roll. Everybody's like, stop tapping your laptop, you jackass. I get it, I will. But please give it up for Mr. Chris Skaggs, everyone.
Woo! There he is.
Thank you. There's never this much anticipation to see me, so I really appreciate that.
Hey, man, red carpet for you, my friend. Nothing but the best here at the grown-ups table.
Yeah, it's so crazy when I go onto a stage as a headliner, everybody's like, yeah, Jesse. And I come home, my wife goes, hey, bring Taco Bell? You didn't bring Taco Bell? What's the matter with you? Go buy the Taco Bell. I'm like, all right, I'll get Taco Bell. So I understand that feeling. Well,
Chris, think it's funny, real quick, that on stage you're the man. Everyone's cheering Jesse, 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 and you're loving it. You're getting all this attention. You're getting the laughs. Everything's good. And then you go home and you basically you ain't shit from your wife. Like, it just destroys everything. Like, oh, okay, here we are now. We're back here.
He calls it the Cloud 9 treatment. Yeah, got to keep me out of there. Got to keep me out of the Cloud 9. She's like, look, so you don't lose your game. You don't lose your game. You know what I mean? You don't want to be like that guy who thinks he's too good. And then you're basically Ricky Bobby. You think you're the best, and then the French guy comes out and kicks your ass. She's stopping the French guy from kicking my ass, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
But anyways, Chris, let's get to know you a little bit. Let's talk with the audience. Let's get the audience knowing you. And audience members, be sure to comment your questions, because this guy has had he's a producer, my friend. He is a producer. What does he do? He produces the goods, and that's what he does.
Sounds like he could be in some back room at like a laundromat that's a front for some laundry or for some extortion or something.
That's what it is.
Like, he's out there producing. There's a poker game going on right now, and unless you want to get shot, do not interrupt them.
Got a kilo of Torg Elliot in the back.
Yes.
There you go. There it is. Oh my God. Could you imagine just like at a table of gangsters, and then there's this Torg in his Minnesota Vikings jacket with his pistol in front of him, like, let's go, boys.
Oh man. So let me ask a couple of preliminary questions before we get into the big stuff. So being a producer, man, that's an incredible thing. I mean, that's like, we've had entertainers on here, but producers, they are the kind of the backbone of your entertainer. They kind of help us, like, because entertainers, we are nuts. We're out of our minds. We're second guessing ourselves. And you kind of just go, no, it's great. Got it. And then you kind of, you refine whatever craziness we have. So tell us a little bit what it's like being a producer to any entertainment.
It's its own world, really, because it never stops. It's 24/7. You could get an email, at 4 a.m. You could get an email at 8 p.m. You could email at 12 p.m. You could be asleep at any one of those times. And if you miss that email for 15 minutes, that guest is booked up.
Yeah.
But it's incredibly rewarding. Honestly, it was the best time of my life, and we'll get into all of that later. But, it's something that is unique and requires a lot of, the people who balance all those plates on those sticks, and they're all spinning. That's sort of what it feels like every single minute of every single day.
Well, that to me, for me, as someone who suffers from anxiety, I'm like, holy shit, that's scary. That's a horror story for me. But and I know a lot of people who listen to the show are producers in their own right, whether it's live performances in comedy, burlesque, independent films. What in the idea of producing, what would you say is the biggest, most important lesson you've learned from producing?
Probably the most important lesson would be that any nugget can be gold. Just
Okay.
never like I've had the stupidest ideas in the shower. And, the morning process, and I drink the coffee, and it gets a little bit better. And then I go to work, and I listen to a song, and it gets a little bit better. And then I get there, and it becomes, one of our classic bits. And it's like I just thought of that in the shower, but it was a stupid idea at first. But then you just keep going with it. Anything can be gold if you just believe it's good.
I really like that. And I think because that encourages creativity, because I think a lot of time artists just, they have trouble finding their niche, or they psych themselves out, and, they think nobody thinks they're funny, like for a comedian or an entertainer. But what you really have to do is you have to go out there and put yourself out there and put your ideas and your material out there, just as you come up with these crazy ass ideas in the shower. And look, some of them turn into bits that are fantastic. Maybe other ones fizzle out, but that's kind of the game, You have to at least try, because if you don't try anything, then the show is not going to go anywhere. But to your point, that one bit that you thought was terrible ends up being gold, and boom, puts you on the map. So that's huge.
Exactly.
Now, speaking of golden nuggets and inspirations, why don't you give us a little bit of background? What got you inspired into radio?
Growing up from Pataskala, Ohio.
I dated a girl from Pataskala once.
Oh, man.
I've been to that town. Dude, I will say that McDonald's in downtown Pataskala has the best food I've ever had at any McDonald's, like hands down, especially the breakfast. I don't know what it is, but that place is better than any other McDonald's I've ever been to my entire life.
Still can't get ice cream there, though. Ice cream.
There's always got to be a downside to the Pataskala McDonald's.
That's just fair and balanced. You got to
fair and balanced. No ice cream for Pataskala.
Yep. You got to be fair. You got to be fair out there with all the other restaurants. But yeah, maybe that McDonald's has the greatest meat or whatever. Their ice cream's it's not fair.
Real quick, Chris. So, did you grow up in Pataskala, like born and raised, or did you move there?
I was born and grew up in Westerville until first grade.
Okay.
And then from second grade through high school graduation, my parents still live there in the same house now, Pataskala.
Okay. So the whole reason I'm asking, and I completely forgot this, you and Jesse are more closer to the same age. So now that I'm thinking this out loud, it wasn't. I was going to ask what year you graduated, because I went to a senior prom at Watkins Memorial.
That's where I graduated.
But I don't think you graduated in what it would have been 2001, I think it would have been, or 2002, whatever that year prom was. That's the one that I went to. So
I was 2011 high school graduate.
Okay, yeah. So that way off there, but it was a great idea. But anyway, so I have familiarity with that school. I've been inside it. It looks like the White House from outside, which is weird. I don't.
Inside looks like a weird prison where it's just like
yes,
blocks all the way down.
It straight up does. And they have great McDonald's there, and then that's about it, because all my memories are driving, looking at scenery that looks like I'm in Kansas, and then it's like, oh, I hit a wall of fog and I can't see anything now, and I have no idea if somebody's coming and going to hit me. This is fun. That's really my memories of Pataskala.
I would like to make a suggestion. Like every time you hear Tim Allen do those commercials about Pure Michigan, I want to see John just do one about Pure Pataskala.
Pure Pataskala. And then
you ever want to watch
wall of fog.
You do know
McDonald's is great, but their ice cream machine ain't shit. Pataskala.
It's amazing. It's a great place to live. Oh, and I also learned when you live in Pataskala, you really have to know how to clean up leaves out of your yard properly. And it's crystal clear on the neighbors that don't know how to do it correctly. So I also learned that from my short stint in Pataskala.
I love the one thing I also like. I had to pick on. John said he's like, I dated a girl in Pataskala. It just sounds like something. It sounds like something Russell Crowe would have said in a movie. He's like, Pataskala.
That's right. Absolutely.
Went to prom with her too.
Yeah, I went to prom with her. You bet. It was my first. Second real serious committed relationship post being out of school. We were trying to figure out life and things like that. So there was an investment there. There were feelings there and whatnot. Ultimately, it didn't end up working out for the better, obviously, because I've got a great wife and kid and life now. But back when 19-year-old John was just dipping his toe into that water, it was pretty sweet dating a girl that lived 40 minutes away from where you live.
The basketball pond is mighty fine. Inspiration. Sorry, we got off on that.
No, it's okay. We went down the rabbit hole. That's going to happen.
So, yeah, I never really had an inkling about wanting to be a performer or be in radio or be an entertainer of any kind or do anything like that. I was just sort of like a class clown and was always getting myself into trouble. Classic ADHD kid, couldn't keep his mouth shut.
Represent.
And I never really thought that I was going to do anything like that. Growing up, I have vivid memories of, listening to 610 WTVN and John Corby with my dad.
Nice.
I used to wake up early and hear Dave and Jimmy back in the day when they had Eagle Boy and Patrick doing all those crazy stuff.
Jimmy, yeah.
I used to listen to those guys. Obviously, Common Man and Torg, I used to listen to them, the sports radio. But, to think that I was ever going to do it or be a part of it was never a thing that was in my plans.
So let me ask you. So you're in college. What drew you to it? What started putting the wheels in motion, do you think, when you were in college?
So it was
there anything you did?
It was literally an accident.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
I love accidents.
Yep. Accident careers.
My sister is one.
I worked with a guy who was going to fill in and do some part-time broadcasting stuff on the local radio or for the station radio, doing sports and stuff like that. And he was like, just come to the meeting. You have to come to the meeting in order to do it for the full year. So just come to the meeting. So if you decide you want to do it, you can. So I go to the meeting, I sign up. That's the very beginning of the year, sophomore year.
Okay.
Fast forward to spring of my sophomore year, I'm still never been on the radio a single time, never done a single thing with it. Well, I had gotten hurt playing baseball that season, so I couldn't play, and they needed somebody to fill in on the broadcast to be the play-by-play guy or to be the color guy for the baseball broadcast. And so they said, hey, you went to the meeting and you're hurt, you can't play. Nobody knows the team better than you. You'd be a great fill-in guy to be the color analyst. I was like, oh yeah, I'm on the team. I know everything about the team. A little bit too much. Got myself in trouble with coach outing us a little bit too much. I was so excited. I was like, he's touching his cap. That means they're going to steal.
Oh,
that's
no.
So great. I didn't even think about that. That's hilarious. Oh, man.
Oh, no.
As soon as I caught that bug that night, it stuck. It stuck, and I fell in love with it.
Okay. Wow. So, that really was just a chance exposure to that kind of world. And you did it and you're like, wow, I really like this. So I have a question. So what were you initially studying in college? And then once you kind of had this epiphany, how did you kind of course correct to end up where you ultimately did after graduation?
So at first I was studying sport management.
Oh,
and it was cool. It was easy, which
really
was sort of it was like, business with a sports focus. So,
okay.
But easier to understand than most of the business classes. So we went
probably way more interesting too.
Yeah, right. This is how you squeeze an extra 3% out of your athlete. Do this.
And I went to a private school, Ohio Northern University. Awesome school, go Polar Bears. But boy, is it expensive. And so I felt like I was sort of, wasting my education a little bit.
Really?
Yeah, it was good, but I felt like I wanted some more. So I looked at the curriculum and it was like, oh, for 2 extra communications classes, I can be a communications minor. So I picked it up. And then we went on a class field trip to see the Columbus Crew, a former alumni. And he was telling us he did ticket sales and how brutal it was. And he was like, but the grind is great and it's finally paying off. I'm making $14 an hour. I was like, oh,
right.
okay. So I don't want to do that. So I went and looked, and then since I'd already been on the minor track for the communications thing, it was like an extra like 4 classes or something in order to make it a major. So I was like, instead of just taking stupid electives and, you know, half-assing my semester and taking 12 credits, I'll just take 18 all the way, fill it up, and graduate with 2 majors. So I was able to get sport management and communications.
Wow, that's impressive, man. That really is. I mean, obviously, I have no collegiate education whatsoever, so you, sir, have done it correctly. And
I'll tell you,
he got himself a fancy education too. So
to have such a pivot like that, I mean, that broadcast really had to make that big of an impact on you. I mean, to take on that workload, not easy at all, man. So my hat's off to you. Now, what are some, besides the, you know, outing, you know, your own baseball team's tell us a little bit about what were you like in college? You know, like, now you mentioned you were the class clown. Did you have a need to cause a little chaos on the campus? Tell us.
We want to hear it. Tell us.
Mom and Dad, I'm sorry. I was drunk a lot.
There it is. There it is. The true college experience.
So, funny story. Freshman year, my parents come up to visit, and it's the night after, or the morning after, my roommate had got arrested for an underage. And his dad, my roommate's dad, was busy doing something, and I'd known my roommate for a couple years. So my dad's, you know, giving him this fatherly talk, you know, helping him through this experience. And I'm just sitting there like laughing hysterically behind him because I'm like, Dad, I was pissing on the same fence. The cops just didn't see me.
Be proud of me.
Right.
I run faster than him, Dad. You raised an athlete. Yeah, so I raised little hell. There was a time when we went to a highlighter party where we all wore white shirts, and I couldn't find a white shirt. And in my drinking state, I was like, oh, I'll just grab one from my roommate's drawer. I grab one, throw it on. We go there, it gets all marked up, you know, smiley faces, people's signatures, stupid stuff.
Yeah, sure.
I black out drunk. Lose my phone. My friend takes it. Somehow I just come to, I'm army crawling through a bean field. It's like tripping over soybeans, trying not to lose my shoes, thinking to myself, if I sleep here, the combine's going to harvest me. I got to keep going. I get...
What a brilliant thought to have when you're drunk.
Combine's going to get me. I can't sleep here.
What a brilliant... I just want to put that out there. What a brilliant thought to have drunk.
Oh, that is fantastic. Wow.
I finally get back to my apartment after... I don't even know how. I look down, and this shirt is completely destroyed. Mud stains, grass stains, beans, I'm pretty sure. All destroyed this thing. And turns out it was like a one-of-a-kind shirt he had gotten when he was like a summer camp counselor or something. He was like, I can't get that back. I have the name.
Oh, my God.
So I was a bit reckless, yeah.
Dude, do you think he's still pissed off about the shirt? Because I would be.
I spent the rest of that year trying to figure out a way to get it clean. I got Mr. Clean magic erasers. I got every single scrubbing product I could find. I got a bucket and bleach. I finally got it out. But by the time I did it, it shrunk like a size and a half and was all like stiff from all of the abuse. So it was clean.
Oh my God. So are you still friends with this roommate, or did you guys part ways?
We're still cool. I'm gonna go to his wedding next year after.
Oh, there you go. Perfect.
There you go. Yeah.
So if you get the mic when the best man's telling his story, and you know, sometimes people are able to jump on. Some DJs let that happen. Other DJs are like, no one's allowed on this but you and you. But if you get a chance, grab the mic and tell that story, because that would be amazing. Wow.
That is actually a phenomenal story. That is a phenomenal story.
Oh my God, that is so funny. It's just one of a kind, irreplaceable shirt.
All right.
Well, you passed out. Did anybody draw any dicks or anything on it? Do you remember?
I didn't pass out at the party. I passed out in the field, I'm pretty sure.
There's a bunch of hillbillies out there.
I know my friend who took my phone found one of my roommates. The friend wasn't from my school. He came up to visit just for the weekend, so he didn't know his way around. And by happenstance, one of my roommates was driving down the street, and he was like, "Dan, you got to help me find Chris. I have his phone. We got to find him." Yeah, I
He's in this field over here somewhere.
Listen, we either saw a moving scarecrow or them. We don't know.
We don't know which one though. Let's go find out.
What's scarecrowing? It's when you get blacked out and you just put yourself up on the pole like this. It's the new millennial thing. Instead of planking, it's scarecrowing.
Oh, you better coin that now, Jesse, before somebody else gets it. That way you get the credit, man.
And you know what? That's happened before. Before COVID-19 started on one of our shows, or no, when it did start, when it was initially the lockdown, I said this on one of our podcasts. There will be at one point a COVID-19 challenge, a coronavirus challenge. And 3 weeks later, it was on TikTok.
Yep. It
was some influencer, which, by the way, TikTok and influencer should never go together. I'm going to say that right now. That's an oxymoron. That's an oxymoron.
Influencer. Oh, my God.
But she's like licking toilets on an airplane. I'm like, oh, my God.
Yeah, just the dumbest shit. And actually, that's funny because back when the whole Tide Pod thing with Chris, remember that with the whole Tide Pod thing? We were going back and forth about that. That video of that dude that was using his bong, and it was a bong that was meant for doing dabs. And so he opened up the Tide Pod and put it into the chamber. It was all smoking and everything, and he ripped it.
I remember that.
Cloud, and then he starts coughing. He's like, I gotta go. And then like the video ended, but because I think it was a terrible video.
You gotta go see a pulmonologist after that sort of thing. It's ridiculous.
And then so I remember like Torg said something because he was ripping on all the kids about Tide Pods, and I had found that video of the hot coil challenge where you basically turn on the electric coil on your stove and then just see how long you can leave your arm on it. So this guy did it. He was also wearing a CKY shirt, which was hilarious. I cannot believe he was wearing a CKY shirt. So he put it down and he had it on for 5 seconds or so, and it started smoking up and everything, and he pulled his arm off, and it was like third-degree burn city, man. It was
like molten flesh.
Yes, just insane. So all these challenges were just nuts. And Jesse, you're right. You did call it. You said that there will be a COVID challenge, and then people started doing it. Wow.
Yep. I knew it.
Wow.
We're going to get to another one. Trust me. I think the challenge thing is so weird, and what it will make people do, like McDonald's, or I think it was Starbucks. It was one of the two. They had something called the Unicorn Frappe. It's a shitty drink. Super shitty.
Well, I have to stop you there. I got it, and I really enjoyed it. I liked all the sour dust and shit. That was really good, man. I liked it.
All right.
I'm just saying.
One American likes it, all right?
It might be a minority, but I'm not the only one. So
all right.
Let's move on.
Right. But anyways, like McDonald's, they don't plan on selling those because everybody's going to like it. They sold it on the whole idea of take a selfie with it.
Sure. It was like a marketing thing.
And people were like, "Oh, I'm gonna get famous by taking a picture with a coffee." And people did it.
White Claw, one of the most like social media marketed drinks any person could buy right now. Ooh, look at me and my White Claw. Oh, Chris, you know what? Okay, you know what, guys? Here's the thing. It's not that I dislike White Claw. I've drank.
Chris, clink it.
I've drank plenty of White Claw, but I'm gonna be honest. I think Truly is better. I think it tastes better, and they have better flavors. So I'm just saying. But yeah, let me drink my Ice Mountain water while you guys both have booze. I'll bring a beer.
I'll have a beer. There's something wrong.
Oh, he's doubled up, and he's got the koozie too.
Oh yeah, I'll show my Q pride.
There it is. Oh yeah, Jesse, you fubbed when you introduced Chris. You said 95, not 96.
I said 96.
Oh, you said 95. Wait till you rewatch this broadcast tomorrow.
I'm going to punch myself right in the face.
Said 95.
All right, Chris, here, watch this. I'll edit it in. Ready? 1, 2, 3. boom, boom. Chris Skaggs, former producer of the Torg Elliot on QFM 96.
There it is.
Got it. Boom. Got it right there.
Radio, I would have just copy and pasted that over the beginning and nobody would have ever known the difference.
No one will ever know. They'll wonder why you're already out. And then it's not that great at editing magic.
We need to capture that soundbite you just said and then send it over to them via email so they can use that for a promo or something. Oh, this is some random guy talking in a weird accent celebrating our show.
If we did that, I get a cease and desist.
Please don't email us again. And why
would
was there a naked picture of you included in this email?
We prefer. And why didn't you wait till the room warms up? That's just weird. That's just
no. You got to go for the icebreaker immediately. You don't warm up when there's nude involved. You just let it hang and go. Yeah, you got to rip that Band-Aid off. There's no build up to a nudie. No.
Listen. If you have to wait till you're hard to take a dick pic, that means you're not brave.
No, it just means that you care about quality and presentation. And
you let them know. You let them know day in and day out what's there.
Okay, so before this becomes a penile conversation, I'm just going to say nobody wants to look at the turtle, okay? No one wants to see the scared turtle. Everybody just wants to see the log. So show the log and then move on. It's that simple.
Pull out the girthquake. Got it.
There we go. Okay, we'll concede there, sir.
I will concede right there.
I love it.
Before this conversation gets any more weird.
Do you remember the show that I produced?
Yeah, it was some radio show that I used to listen to every morning. Oh yeah, that's what we were talking about. So you've gotten your double major and you've graduated. You've got this kind of I want to do radio. So what happened post graduation?
So post graduation, pre-graduation, I guess I should probably implement this in the story. I was an intern my junior year at Channel 10 in the sports department, 10 TV.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I got to work with Bo Bishop and Dom Taberry and those guys, which was awesome.
I'll bet. Dom's a nice guy, man. He really seems genuine.
They were great. They were super patient with me through all my screw-ups. Like I had the blind golfer where he would see himself in 5 years. They were like, Chris, you get to ask him the questions. I prepped for a whole night. I wrote down all these questions. I thought they were so good. And then the guy just goes, do you mean that for real? Oh, no.
Oh, man, that's funny.
So I was an intern there, graduated from college a year later, and went to work for my mom. I was doing a little bit of marketing stuff.
Okay.
I was applying for some radio jobs and some TV jobs, literally reaching out and emailing everybody I could possibly think of in Columbus radio and TV, asking them for advice and what to do. I was like, here's my resume reel for radio. Here's my TV reel. Help.
Right.
And a couple people reached out to me, which I've always really appreciated. Jared Smalley from NBC got back to me, which I always appreciated. T-Bone from Common Man and T-Bone Now got back to me, which I've always appreciated. But I really didn't hear anything. So I applied and got into Franklin University, and I was going to get my master's in marketing.
Okay.
And I had signed up, picked my classes and stuff, didn't pay yet. And out of the blue, I just randomly saw Torg Elliot were hiring a producer, and I was like, I'll throw my hat in the ring. 3 weeks go by, and I don't hear anything. And so I'm literally like about to click pay to start my master's degree at Franklin, and I get a call and they're like, hey, you want to come in for an interview?
Wow.
I go into the interview and I think it goes pretty well.
Who was there at the interview? Who was doing the interview?
So Torg Elliot and Christy were all there.
No way. So they were a part of the interview.
Wow.
That's incredible. Wow.
Yeah, they were all part of it.
I didn't think the talent would have been in on the interview. So, wow, that's great.
2 people from management were in it.
Oh,
here I am, 22, graduated college, only worked for my mom.
Right.
And I'm just sitting here staring at 3 people who I had grown up listening to my entire life, and Torg, who I had especially grown up, really being into his show. And I was shitting bricks. I was so nervous, but somehow I got through it. I answered the questions the way they were looking for, I guess. And Jerry was showing me around. Jerry Elliot was showing me around the studios and stuff. And he puts his arm around me and he goes, "What do you think we would call you on the air? Skaggs sounds good, right? Would you be okay with that?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's, growing up, everybody's pretty much just called me Skaggs. There's always been a ton of Chris's. I've always just been Skaggs." And so I'm like, I go home, I call my mom. I'm like, "Mom, I got it. They're gonna offer me." 2 weeks go by and I don't hear anything.
Oh, wow.
And in that meantime, I had gotten an interview for a part-time position at 610 WTVN, like Saturday night Buckeye, like post-game coverage sort of stuff. And they had offered it to me by then. And they were like, "Hey, we need to know if you're going to take it. We need to know. We got to fill this position. It's August. Buckeye season's coming." And as I was writing the email to the guy at Q to tell him, like, "Hey, I got this other offer. Are you going to give me the job or not?" Like mid-paragraph, my phone rings and he's like, "Hey, can you come in today? We'd love to get you the paperwork so we can get you started."
Wow.
On Monday. And it's crazy how close I was to going to grad school, how close I was to going to a different radio station.
That's insane.
And then, I had those two choices, and it was ultimately, I talked to Bo Bishop and I was like, Columbus radio, what should I do? Because like this one's more sports, this one's more rock. I want to do sports. At the time, I thought I wanted to do sports. And he was like, full-time radio opportunities don't come around, and they don't come around for 22-year-olds. If you have an opportunity to work full-time right now, it doesn't matter what the format is. Do it. Don't be stupid.
Yeah.
So thank you, Bo Bishop. You're the man.
Wow. That is an amazing story. Like, how many people have that story to where just things just kind of aligned at that moment? Like, you were at a true crossroads where you could have gone one of three directions, and it just so happens that's how it landed at literally at that time.
Well, I found out later that the 3-week gap was because they had two other people that they wanted. They didn't even call me on the first round of interviews. And they had two other people. They had offered one the job, and then they, for whatever reason, bailed on it. And then they were going back through the stack again. And Torg saw that Bo Bishop was one of my references, and he was like, "Hey, I worked with Bo at the Fan. I know this guy. I'm going to reach out to him and ask him about Chris." And Bo gave me a good reference, so I got an interview, and that's why I owe so much of it to Mr. Bo Bishop.
That is awesome, man.
That's really awesome.
Yeah, it is. That's incredible. Wow.
Man, the feeling that where were you? Do you remember when you got the call, like the exact moment? Like, I always ask people that, because sometimes, like, where you are when you get good news, that it kind of becomes a certain, good luck spot, so to say.
I was working in my mom's office at the time, sitting, staring at the computer, and I'll never forget it because they said, "Can you come down here?" And I was looking at myself wearing just gym shorts and a and I was like, "Oh crap, I gotta go home and change." So I go back, I put on some khaki pants, a nice polo.
Put on the khakis.
Literally never did that. The first week I worked there, I wore khakis. I don't know why the three of them didn't give me shit for it. I looked like an idiot. None of us ever did that.
Right.
Ever. Christy would look nice, but it wasn't like dressing up. I dressed up, and they didn't give me shit for it.
I think they probably figured, okay, he's like out of college, first big job. He's trying to do it, and they're all like, "We're seasoned. They ain't fucking wearing khakis." That's hilarious, man. Wow. So, okay. So I think let's transition into talking about the show now, because now you've got the job, right? And so now you have to figure out, how am I going to produce this show with three iconic voices in radio who have great careers? Jerry even did comedy, which I always thought was funny when he talks about his time that he hung out with Jackie the Joke Man Martling, which, I don't know the guy, but I know how things went down on the Stern Show. I'm not the biggest fan of his, but I thought it was cool that they shared time together and did some comedy together and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I always enjoy hearing those stories. But what was it like for you to come in? You're a millennial, you're 22, you're producing this show of baby boomers and Gen Xers who have been doing this for 20 plus years, have all this experience. What the hell, man? How do you just jump in and start doing that job?
First of all, I lied. I had no idea what the hell I was doing. I had like produced like, well, I hadn't produced shit. I had been a part of live broadcasts in college, and I got to like slide a couple things around on the board every now and then, but it was nothing compared to what I was signing myself up for.
Wow.
So to step into that as a 22-year-old, my first job, it was baptism by fire. I was petrified. And my first week there, I woke up late. It was not a good first impression. Thought I was going to get fired on my third day.
Oh, no.
Never did that again, ever. We'll talk about my schedule later, I'm sure. But I made sure that I was never late again.
Yeah,
because
man.
of that first week. My first Friday, so I started running the board like on a Monday or Tuesday. That first Friday was a breakfast club, so there was nobody in the building with me. It was just me by myself with nobody to help me. No guidance. What's up, Barrett?
I've got this board with all these blinking lights, and I don't know what to do with it.
It was the most daunting thing that I had ever gotten myself into. I didn't know any of the music. Was the big challenge. I had grown up. I was a fan of rap. You know,
that's cool. You didn't know classic and like into like 90s rock like that. I mean, I feel like even if you're into hip hop, which I love too, it's still like you just didn't know it.
So I knew the songs, but I didn't know the music. Does that make sense?
Yeah, okay. I got
different Aerosmith albums, or like Van Halen versus Van Hagar. Like I don't know. I just knew
gotcha.
Van Halen, you know.
Wait, what did you say? Which one? Which one? Say it again.
Van Halen or Van Hagar?
Yeah, which one is yours?
Probably Van Halen. At this point.
Okay. You win the cool points.
But 6 years ago, I'd have been like,
Which one that sounds cool?
Yeah, which one did jump? But in my interview, I told him, of course, I love classic rock. My dad was a classic rock guy. My dad listens to country.
That's hilarious. I love this music.
But I did fall in love with it. The people I got to meet and talk to and stuff did give me an appreciation for all that sort of stuff that I'm glad now that I have, because it's such an awesome part of music that was missing to me.
Sure.
I love it now.
So you really had to learn on the job, and you really had to fake it until you made it.
Oh, yeah, and I still faked it to the very end. I faked it all the way.
So what was it like, just like a typical day? Because I think the thing is a lot of people hear the show, they hear the 5 hours of the show, but they don't understand that there's so much more to a show other than just those 5 hours that are live over the air. What is a typical day? So you mentioned like waking up. I mean, I think you guys got up at like 3 a.m. because you had to be in the studio by like 4 or 5, right? Because the show hit at 5:30, right?
So I was always the first one there. I got up around 3 every day. 3:15. And I would get into the studio when I first started at like 3:50 because I didn't trust myself to be ready by 5:30. But by the time, I was a seasoned vet after 6 months or whatever, 4:15 to 4:20, every single morning I was in Monday through Friday. You hit the prep sites. We had some things called like Dr. Dave's Ultimate Prep, Wise Brother Ultimate Prep, which are just these sites that compile all these, they go through like the top stories from USA Today and all TMZ and blah, blah, blah.
Oh, see, I wondered how you chose stuff. Okay. So there are tools that you have that already kind of takes information and kind of funnels it and organizes it. So then you can look at that and say, okay, here's what's going on. Here's how we are. And you can kind of start piecing together what you want to go through.
Yeah, so to an extent. So those things that are like, the radio stories that are always, the top 5 Taco Bell secret menu items. Everybody's doing those. And so we did them and we got them from there. But Torg especially was the type who would dig deeper, and he had all these other resources that he would go to. And in the middle of the night, I would just get these notifications from him of this story. Hey, print this.
Okay.
Torg is dedicated to being the best, and he would find these stories. He would dig. He would just obscure stuff, like these random outlets I'd never heard of, and I was like afraid to open these links.
Torg sent me some porn. Like, what is going on here?
What is .exr? What country is this hosted in? He found it, and that's what makes him great. He just doesn't stop.
And I think that definitely shows just how he's able to converse and keep up. There's no dead air. There's no pauses or delays. He doesn't have to think. And I think that's important for any type of talent, but especially radio, where you're just hearing the voice, because you can hear imperfections in people's talk tracks and speech patterns, because that's all you have is to listen to. You can picture the person, but when it's just audio, you're so much more focused on that audio. And he just does a fantastic job of just speaking and really understanding what he's talking about. So I totally agree. That's hilarious. He's always on. He's always working. Skaggs, let's do this. Print this. Let's do this story. That's great. It's somebody who's always focused and wanting to make the show the best it can be. So that's great.
So so I would get that stuff printed off by about 4:45. And then I would go through and I would choose the hot 5 cuts for the day. I would pick all of them. I would write the little intro scripts for them. If we had any interviews for after the show, I would print the pre-interview information, the bios. I would print the schedules. I would literally make sure that everything was staggered and set out in front of them. So when they came in, they could see each individual piece of paper and make sure that they saw it, had it, and were ready for the show. That took me completely not even taking a break, just nonstop moving from 4:30 to 5:30 every single morning. From the time I got in to the time the show started, it was like go, go, go.
Wow.
But
so show goes live, right?
Yeah.
So we're doing the show, and you said at one point you weren't necessarily mic'd up yet, but then you got to the point where they did mic you up so you could start participating and add commentary to the show, which that I really enjoyed that, because I always like that concept of you have your original talent, but then you have somebody else, because I think it adds a really great dynamic to everything that's going on. That's why I love having guests on the show that Jesse and I do, and other podcasts I've done before. Having those extra people really helps that dynamic. So you earned your spot. You earned it, and they finally let you on the show. So how did that go for you?
It took a lot of trust building, because a lot of producers see that as their role, as their way to get themselves on the air.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a legit morning show with legit pros who have been doing this for decades.
Yeah.
If you're a 22-year-old who's going to come in and try to take their airtime, like, we don't want you. So I had to prove that that's not what I was trying to do. Yeah, I wanted a radio career, but I wanted to build the show from the back end. And then eventually they would, hey, Skaggs, what do you think about this? How much does a eighth of weed cost? I don't know, like $40. Bring the mic back to Christy, because for a while I didn't even have one in the studio. They had to put one in for me.
Yeah, oh, wow, okay.
And that's quite an honor that they did something that permanently makes you there, and having those comments, it's great, to bounce off, because, for them, it's like they can get a different perspective. I mean, a lot of it, as we've kind of already spoken and alluded to heavily, they kind of got the millennial information from you. They went to you, and perspective, and it gave the show a different edge, and as well probably extended the audience a bit.
I think it did help bring in a younger audience, and I think that it helped even the older audience. My growing up sort of to the ears of the people listening was like sort of reminded them of their own children. Of like, oh my God, my son did something stupid once. I can't believe Skaggs thought he could go to the grocery store to buy stamps. Like the stupid stuff like that, people related to, and I think it helped me find this niche to where I think also the audience, since that my goal wasn't to be on air, to be the Torg Elliot, Christy and Skaggs show. I knew my place in that, and I was extremely grateful for the time that I did get on the air. I can say that, especially now looking back, it was such an honor to have that. But I think the reason I got it was because I wasn't necessarily looking for it.
Yeah. And I think that speaks volumes of just how they respected you as a producer, regardless of your age or inexperience or experience, depending on how you look at it, glass half full, half empty type of situation. But it shows that they respected you and trusted you because they knew that you respected and trusted them. And it like you said, it just kind of happened. You weren't necessarily pushing or looking for it, but it was definitely something you wanted once you got it. So
I think they knew I cared as much about it as they did.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just a stepping stone or a vehicle to get me somewhere else. I wanted this to be great, and I think they appreciated that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is obvious, and it definitely came across in the episodes. And like Jesse said, I think appealing to a broader audience definitely worked. Having different perspectives of different generations worked, but it was also funny because they could throw things, they could lay it up to you, and you could just dunk it when it came to you, and it hit, and then we moved on to the next thing. And I think that's what was great for me is that would you could almost be like a transition from one thing to the next, and I really liked that. I liked how it helped the show flow, and I feel like there were some great comedic hits there too. So
I've always heard a lot of people say that my girlish giggle in the background really tied everything together. It was like a nice little bow on top of like everything that was happening, this big loud uproarious laughter, and then me just going
I agree. So you, in this producer role, there's one thing that you're responsible for, and that's bringing on guests, right? And oftentimes those guests can be celebrities, they could be sports athletes, they could be actors, they could be commentators, whomever, right? Just celebrities. So we know that on the show you worked with many celebrities. But what we want to hear is we know you've got stories. We know it. It happens in any show, anyone who's an interviewer, any radio show, you're going to have that crazy Gary Busey story. So what's one that you really have where you're just like, I cannot believe this is happening in front of me on this show?
That's hilarious. You said Gary Busey. I didn't even write that one down to bring up.
There you go. That'll be for the next episode.
So we were literally interviewing Gary Busey. Like, we're having this, I mean, as normal, I guess I call it a normal conversation, but it's Gary Busey, so it's as normal as...
Was his hair all, like, messed up? He was all, like, crazy looking, or did he look normal?
Well, it was on the phone.
Oh, okay.
Which was the problem, because it's also old Gary Busey on the phone with 3 people trying to talk to him at the same time.
Sure.
And so at one point, Gary Busey is just like, talking to you 3 is like going to a carnival naked. And we all 3 looked at each other, or all 4 looked at each other like, what the did this guy just say?
I just wanted him to just start doing lines from Point Break. Just be like,
oh, no,
down the street,
Point Break, man.
Down the street, there's 2 big meatball subs. Give me one of those.
Okay, important question. Which Gary Busey film is better, Point Break or Under Siege? My vote has to go to Under Siege because he does drag in Under Siege. So my vote goes to Under Siege. Oh, don't you remember that? That was like
Point Break because Keanu Reeves is great too.
He is. He really is. And Swayze's in it. Oh my God, great cast. So, all right, but which one? Point Break or Under Siege? Jesse, you got to chime in too. I go for Under Siege.
Under Siege.
Okay.
I'm outvoted 2-1.
Well, which one are you gonna pick then? Are you gonna go all in, or are you gonna go for? I lost my train of thought now. Point Break.
Give me Point Break.
Okay, there we go.
On that mountain.
We'll take it.
It's a tough for me. It's a tough one. I think I chose Under Siege because I think Busey has a little bit more screen time.
He does
just a little bit more, and I love the craziness of him playing evil.
The one thing that I think was missing from that for Gary Busey, though, is I don't like the way he went out, where they just blew up that sub with the missile. I'm like, okay, I really feel like Seagal should have just gutted that guy. Like, I feel like he was robbed from proper, because, I mean, Gary Busey killed the captain. That was his dude. So he already wanted revenge. I just don't think it's that good that he blew up a sub. It should have been an intimate kill with a knife. He watches the life leave Gary Busey through his eyes. Like, that's Steven Seagal.
We're all watching the life leave Gary Busey through his eyes right now.
Oh, my God.
Oh, man.
So Gary Busey, crazy guy, awesome story about talking to him on the phone. What about someone that you actually had in the studio where it was just like, I can't believe this is happening in this little, because we've all seen the pictures, your broadcast room. I mean, while it's a decent size, I think people feel like there's all this room in studios, and it's like, no, there's like this much room for equipment and like 5 people. So
it was probably about the size of like imagine like a college dorm room.
Yeah.
12 by 12 maybe.
Right. And you got to cram all that in there.
It was not big. So I got 2 stories I want to bring up. First, I'll bring up the in-studio, and then we'll bring up the concert story next.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, yeah.
So first it was, everybody remembers when Torg left the show. Mm-hmm. Everybody thinks it was a prank and this thing and a stunt for the radio. And it was not. We all thought, including he thought, he was gone. Worked it out at the past midnight hour, I guess the 4 a.m. hour, I guess, and this is to make it. But they worked it out. But at the time, we thought that was Torg's last show.
Wow.
And so we get a Budweiser 6-pack of beer somebody brings down at 8:15, and we do it. And then somebody brings in a shot for us at 8:45. We're all like, we do it. Bert Kreischer comes in, and when Bert Kreischer comes in, he always has a bottle of Tito's vodka with him. Somebody else had brought in like a 12-pack of Bud Light at that point too. So it's like Torg, Elliot, Christy, me, Bert Kreischer, and some random dude from sales who was just hanging out in the room.
I love the random guy from sales. That's awesome. Like, dude,
he's just there.
Like, I'm getting on that. Oh, that's awesome.
This is sweet.
Hopefully he closed the deal that day too.
Oh, I sure hope so. So we all start taking these shots of this Tito's vodka with Bert Kreischer. And we're talking to him on the air and literally just mid-conversation. It's like, so Bert, you're doing the funny bone. He's like, oh, yeah, doing the funny bone. Just takes his shirt off. And Torg and Ellie just look at each other like, we're pretty drunk. And they all look at Christy, and she goes, no. In the span of
that's awesome.
The span of Bert at 9:20 to about 10:05 when he left, we killed that bottle of Tito's. We killed that 12-pack of Bud Light.
Oh man, everyone's feeling nice and toasted.
A little too nice and toasted. I forgot to change the promo out. So we were running, coming up on Friday, show Bert Kreischer in studio all Saturday, all Sunday.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. That was my fault.
So hopefully you didn't get beat up too much about that promo thing.
I mean, I got sternly talked to, but
sternly talked to. So speaking of that, before we get into your concert story, because I'm really excited to hear that, something did happen on the air, right?
Oh yeah,
something, right? So tell us about that. How'd that go?
So we were going to have the NSFW version of the story because it's only fun that way. We had a dump button, so we operated on a delay. At that time, it was only 6 seconds. One dump for 6 seconds. After this, they added a second dump, and we had 2 banks of separate 6-second dumps, so we were 12 seconds behind.
There you go. Much better.
We'll get to why. So we were taking a relatively mundane topic. It was like, you ever been stuck in traffic somewhere bad or something? It wasn't like, who you voting for or anything like that. And this guy starts talking to us, and he's like, one time I was in 270, and this guy got over on my shit. And I was like, uh-oh. And I hit the dump button. And then Torg also went to hit the dump button. So I had it next to me. And on the other side of the desk, he also had one.
Okay.
But nobody went towards the phone to hang up on the guy. So we dumped the shit, got us caught back up to square. And then he's like, that motherfucker!
That is beautiful. Oh my God. So is everybody like, oh shit, what just happened?
We hung up on him. We're like, no, we're good guys. We're safe. It's like, James, like, I'm pretty sure they're going to get in trouble. But they're like, no, there's no way. I had to have gotten it off the air. There's no way. So nobody reported it to the FCC, but we still got in trouble with corporate. It was, but see, the thing was that if corporate, they laid it out for us. If somebody reported that and the FCC followed up and found that clip, $250,000.
Wow, that's a huge fine.
I was making like 20 grand at the time. I felt so insignificant. I'm like, I'm gonna get sacrificed like a lamb.
Right? Yeah, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, we fired that young producer.
That guy's gone, FCC.
Now. He's fired him. Everybody's good now. We're all good. Moving on."
Jeez.
All right, so tell us this. So you've been waiting all episode to tell us this concert story. I wanted to hear it. So what do you got?
This is my favorite moment that I've ever witnessed as part of the show. So 38 Special comes in for the QFM 96 Sticky Fingers Food Festival at Express Live, and the morning show gets to go up on stage and introduce them. Ironically, this was the weekend after Torg had left with the Bert Kreischer story. That week was just full of good stuff for me. So that's why I got to go up on stage, because Torg wasn't there. Typically it would have been Torg, Elliot, and Christy, but
sure.
Elliot was like, "Oh, Skaggs, you come up. He's not going to be here."
Get up there.
Yeah, you're going to be talking more. They might as well get to know you a little bit. So the guy standing behind us hands Jerry a mic, and he goes, "All right, you got 45 seconds, no more, no less. You got to hit the mark, and you got to do it right. Don is ready."
Was anybody lighting the stage or anything? Or are you just supposed to count to 45 in your head while you're talking at the same time?
I have no idea what the guy expected. I have no clue. And neither did Jerry. And Jerry's like, "Well, why can't I just use that microphone right there that's already out on stage? Why I got to carry this one?" Because that's Don's microphone. He's like, "Don's waiting. It's Don's microphone." Talking about Don Barnes, the lead singer. And Jerry, after he hears that we got to be 45 seconds, no more, no less, and you got to do this, you got to do that, Jerry's like, "Don Barnes, does this guy fucking think he's Mick Jagger?" Turn around, and Don Barnes is standing maybe 3 feet away from him.
Oh my God. Oh my Lord.
Oh my God. What happened? Did Don take it in stride, or was he all pissed off, or what?
Don did not say a word. He did not make an expression.
Oh, wow.
Hopefully he had whatever those ear things are and he was getting something. Maybe he didn't hear it, but there is no way that he didn't hear that in my mind. He was right next to him when he said, "Mick Jagger."
Hopefully he doesn't hold on to that grudge, holding on too loosely. I forced that one. I forced it, and I'm proud of it.
No, don't let go. Don't let go.
Don't let go.
Oh my God, that is so funny. So was Jerry like, "Oh shit," or did he just keep going in normal Jerry fashion?
Typical Jerry. He's like, I mean, he's not Mick Jagger.
He's not wrong. I mean, look, I like 38 Special. Listen, I like 38 Special. All right?
So do I. But
I'm not putting him in the same tier. I'm sorry.
Right. Oh my God.
Mick Jagger has what I believe is if in his blood is the cure to anything that, because the dude's done so much drugs and everything and all that stuff, and he's talented.
Yeah. And he's outliving all these other people that were like half as partied out as he is. But yeah, he's gonna outlive everybody. I guarantee that fucker lives to over 100. Guarantee.
Easily.
Guarantee it. I'm calling it right now.
Will he release an album to celebrate his 100th birthday?
Oh, he totally should,
Easily.
man. Oh, even if he's in a geriatric bed, I want to see it, and I want to see it. Oh, absolutely.
Nick Jones Blues.
It'll be like if anybody's seen Bill and Ted Save the World. I think that's what good name. Save the World, right?
Face the music. Face the music.
There it is. Sorry. Thank you for correcting me. There are some scenes of older Bill and Ted in their later years at the hospital. I just imagine Mick Jagger laying there, just still doing his thing, man. I can't get up now, but I can still sing, you know. Oh my God. So we are running out of time, but I do want to just capture real quick, because we have so many more stories. I mean, we'll definitely have you back on the show to talk about more specific stories about the show, the celebrities, that type of thing. But you did your radio career, and something happened to you. Kind of wanted to shift directions in your career, and you ended up leaving the show to do something to give back to the community a little bit more. So how are you doing with that career change?
Yeah, now I'm working for a nonprofit healthcare provider, and it's great. It's different, but I get to use a lot of the same skills. I miss the radio. I miss the group that I worked with.
Oh, sure.
I owe, even to this day, the things that I am doing in a different career, I owe so much of it to them, to Torg for pushing me when I thought that, I couldn't do more, and for Christy for believing in me, and for Jerry for giving me a chance, because at first he was the one that was resistant to me coming on.
Really? Okay, interesting. I mean, he was kind of the senior member of the original show, so that would make sense. He'd have a little bit more ownership in that respect.
Yeah, and I think that there was just a trust thing where he wanted somebody a little bit older, maybe.
Sure.
Looking at me fresh out of college, I think he saw through my BS. He's like, "You didn't know Aerosmith."
It's bullshitting us. He doesn't know.
But yeah, I owe so much of even where I'm at today to that experience and to that 3.5 years. And you did something when 3.5 years later, people still reference the time you ate dog food on the air.
I listened
made an impact.
That episode live when it was happening. I was not missing that episode. So
it was horrible.
$20 or something?
I think I got 50 for that.
Oh, you got 50. Okay, yeah.
Next time I'm on the show, we'll save this for next time. All the things they made me eat.
Oh, yeah.
So.
But I do I listened live to the dog food episode specifically. I did not want to miss that episode. It was a great episode.
I watch the Facebook Live every year with just such cheery regret. I love that moment fondly, but I hate myself for doing it.
Sure, of course. But hey, not many people can say they ate dog food on air on a well-known radio station and got paid $50. So there you go. Well, we're about out of time, Jesse. Why don't you round us out from this fantastic episode with Chris Skaggs, one of the best guests we've ever had.
Definitely. I want to say real quickly, thank you to everybody that has listened in and tuned in to this show. You guys are the true heroes. And make sure if you weren't able to listen to this show, let's say you just caught us just now, don't worry. We're posting the whole thing on YouTube tomorrow, so you can go check it out on there, and make sure you like, subscribe, you fall in love and have 30 kids with our channel. All right. I want you to be in love with it. All right. Can I say that? I'm going to say it anyways. So make sure you fall in love with it. I don't know. Marry it. We're going to go with it. So, and also make sure you like our page at the Grown Up Stable on Facebook, because all week we post some crazy things. I love John's. He'll do check mark if it's this, or smiley face if it's that, for what was the greatest 80s movies? Is it Speed or Die? You're not Speed. Yeah. Sorry, what am I saying? Die Hard, or is it, Back to the Future? What is it? I always love when you do those, so I can't wait to see more of those. But Chris Skaggs, I want to say thank you so much for joining us. You are a true rock star, man. Appreciate it, and we hope we can have you on the show again very soon.
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys. This was truly and genuinely a highlight for me. This was awesome. I can't wait. Looking forward to it, guys.
I'm glad you had fun, and I'm glad you were able to do the show. We really do appreciate it.
And I want to give a quick shout out to Max Rowland, our graphic designer, and Vance, our producer. Until then, I'm Jesse Pimpinella.
And I'm John Jacobs.
And you've been sitting at the Grown Ups Table. Thank you, and have an awesome night, everyone. Take care.
Good night, everyone.